Every month I delivered a truckload of snacks to the zoo. On one such visit, I got lost and I found myself in an elephant enclosure and got sat on by a well-meaning elephant. I got splattered to bits, but did not die, and only then realized that I was immortal. A zookeeper mopped up all my pieces and poured me into a barrel, and then over the next 24 hours, every distinct piece of me grew its own mouth and had its own consciousness. Each consciousness retained all my old memories of having been a complete human, but also adapted to whatever body part it was now. There were 40 of us, ranging in size from my mostly intact original head to a tiny half toe. We all chatted in the barrel. We had a lot in common. All night we sang. One night, the zookeeper who'd mopped us discovered us there singing and learned how we'd stayed alive. She took us home and stored us in the garage, sometimes checking in and chatting with us, but mostly leaving us be. Over time, we grew dissimilar from one another. Though we'd had 38 years alive as a person, we each now had 1 and then 3 and then 5 years informed by what body part we were, where we were in the barrel, and who we were near, and what we could or could not still do. Hierarchies asserted themselves, factions formed. The zookeeper had to separate us to keep us from fighting, but then we each found that solitude was far worse than our tensions, and we begged to be reunited. A devout socialist, the zookeeper believed our bickering stemmed from our inequality. Among us were haves and have-nots, and so she poured us into an industrial blender that finally chopped us into a slurry, and then we further divided into thousands of distinct consciousnesses. When she saw all our tiny mouths, the zookeeper understood that she'd complicated our situation exponentially. So she 3D printed a replica human skeleton and bought a suit of synthetic skin and poured all of us inside. In the coming weeks and months, we learned to work together. Inside our body, we can walk, talk, and dance, just like a real person, and we have even begun to use the word I again. But on the inside, it's an uneasy alliance, and the unified self remains the useful illusion it has always been.